Namaskar, welcome to ScreenKraft. I'm Rohit Zail. China has been in the news lately for all wrong reasons as far as India is concerned. To decode the Chinese dragon and to get more clarity on the issue, we have with us today a very distinguished guest. He was commissioned in the Indian Air Force in 1968 and he served the country for 40 years. He participated in the 1971 Indo-Pak War and he retired in 2007 as Vice Chief of the Air Staff. Post-retirement, he continued to render his services to the country, for which he was awarded the very prestigious Agni Award. It's great honor and pleasure in welcoming Air Marshal Bhushan Gokhale. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Rohit. Thank you very much. And it's indeed a pleasure to be here this morning on this program. And thank you, viewers. Good morning to you all.
So, China has been filling the columns in the newspaper every day for the past few weeks. In fact, as we speak, the Chinese army and the Indian armies stand in front of each other in the Doklam Plateau region. What do you think China would gain from the stand that they're taking, from the encroachment in Bhutan they're doing, and for how long or when do you think will this standoff between the two armies end?
Rohit, I think you have asked a very, very important question, and this issue has been going on for very long. Actually speaking, if I can just go back into a little bit into the background, it will be important. Because you mentioned about the media. You see, the Chinese media is government controlled. And what they are very good at is a perception management, media management. And what they tend to do is with the media management, they tend to put pressure on their adversary. So it's a typical Sun Tzu art, what they call it as winning a war without even actually fighting it. So here in Doklam, actually speaking, it is not just Sino-India, but it is also Bhutan which is involved, and that's most important for us. And this is also a message for our neighbors, who are there, whether it is Myanmar, whether it is Sri Lanka, or whether it is Bangladesh, that as to how firm India can stand by them when it comes to some other requirement. So coming back to this question of Doklam, as you know, it's a very important tri-junction because it is the Sikkim, that area which goes and that from there to the Chicken Neck, as we call it, just north of Bangladesh, Siliguri corridor it is known. And from where all our vital railway lines and roads go to the entire Seven Sisters of Northeast, including Assam. So that is a very vulnerable area, which is only about 40 odd kilometers from where they are trying to get to. And the Chinese, as I said, because of their perception management, what they do is they suddenly quote treaties like 1890. Now 1890 Calcutta Treaty, actually speaking, talks about all these things. Whereas the 1912 Treaty of McMahon Line, which they said, no, that time Chinese, were actually Formosa and all that kind of, that Chiang Kai-shek, and it was not the present day communist China, so we don't recognize it. So while they conveniently recognize 1890, they don't recognize 1912. So, they play these kind of things. Because what we have decided is that we should go by what is called the watershed principle. And if that they get back to that watershed and we also will withdraw, then there is a win-win for everybody. Chinese have always been doing this cartographic expansion, as you want to call it, or creeping forward. They tried it many places all across the border, because this McMahon Line has been recognized. There is not yet, so after about 28 round talks that have happened, our border has not been demarcated. So Chinese keep taking this advantage, play the game of who play the chicken kind of a thing, but we have actually standing firm this time.
I'll just repeat a part of the last question I'd asked. We are currently facing a standoff. Both the armies are facing each other and nobody is willing to... How long do you feel that this actually standoff will last?
No, as you know, they made all kinds of remarks about 1962 war. Yes. The defense minister has categorically said that India is not the same what it was in 1962, and so has Srimati Sushma Swaraj, MEA, the minister. She also said in Parliament that we are on a firm footing. We are very correct and most of our other countries who have talked to, they are also with us on this issue. So internationally we have raised this stake for China. And you must remember one thing about Chinese. While they have the ambition, of becoming great, they keep on talking about their middle kingdom, Hungzhuo it is called in their Mandarin. And they keep quoting this to all their neighbors. They've got 14 neighbors for the land border, and with 6 of them they have a regular problem. With sea, they have problem with all of 6, 7, including Japan, to a small thing like Brunei. So they can't go around doing this. They will have a problem in terms of trying to get goodwill of people, the market share and things like that. So we are very firm and we have got enough, capability to stand any kind of a misadventure if there is going to be. But the Chinese also know that once this thing is not going to last very long, and they'll have to kind of get to a place where both can, withdraw with great dignity.
Okay. So in the past few weeks, the social media, be it WhatsApp, be it Facebook, they're all overflowing with messages where the Indians are urged not to buy goods made in China. Would you agree with that? Is that the right way to go, or do you have different views about it?
Let me just get to the figures. You see, we are today one of the biggest trading partners with China. $50 billion is a huge, huge number that we have. And actually speaking, China needs India's support for marketing, because today they are American. As you know, President Trump is also saying, no, America first. And so with the result, just a couple of days ago here at White House called the 50 states all the Make in America products. So, there are every country which has got this. In Europe, there is an economy slowdown kind of a thing. So, Chinese are not able to export there to the Americans. So, there is a big export that goes on in, especially it's not in our favor, the trade. But $50 billion when you talk about is the official trade, which is done by the ministries and, commerce and industry ministry. Everybody is aware. Just to give you an example, Nagpur Metro, which is going to happen, the Chinese have won the contract for 8,000 crores. So, there is nothing wrong in having an official trade. What I am most worried about, and I think that is what must go back, is that the unofficial trade, what is going on is a dumping. I mean, why do they have to send us the Ganpati Murtis? Why do they have to send us Mombattis? Why do they have to send bulbs? These are something which we are easily able to make in India. Just because, the little bit of pricing change, there are people who go across and they buy it cheaper and, dump it here in a way, and they're using all kinds of, now the GST will also put a bit of a check. So what needs to be boycotted is this unofficial trade. And that can easily allow more jobs in our country, which we need, because as you know, India is getting younger and there is a requirement. So this boycotting Chinese goods is very, very important. And at the government level, when we talk about standoff, naturally there will be these talks there. Hey, so I have a feeling that if India, and I've seen a lot of, on the TV also, there is a lot of burning that takes place. It's a very good sign. And I will also say, Bharat Pratham. We should make in India, there is, as it is a project going on, we should support Indian products, even if it is slightly costlier.
So there is speculation that China is putting this pressure at Doklam Plateau on India because India is not supporting China in its very ambitious project OBOR, which is One Belt, One Road, primarily because CPEC, China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, is a part of OBOR, where China is actually investing more than $50 billion in the development of Pakistan towards its infrastructure, obviously for which China will get its kickbacks. Do you feel that China is playing a Trojan horse policy where it enters a country as a friend and then basically extracts all its benefits from it? What is your opinion on it?
Oh, I think you hit the nail on the question is very good. Again, going back a little bit into the background, as soon as there has been a change in the US presidential, there has been a saying that they are going to withdraw from the Pacific region. There was a trade pact that was supposed to happen. So Chinese thought they were going to fill in, that as soon as USA withdraws, kind of a thing. And this OBOR has certainly taken a big shape because they feel that, one belt, one road for the whole thing will be a great, and they're trying to sell it as it's a great benefit to everybody. Actually speaking, it's a debt for every country and they have to pay back to Chinese. And so is the case with CPEC, the China and Pakistan Economic Corridor, which goes from, as you know, within the Pakistan occupied Kashmir. So we have a sovereignty issue. So we have taken objection because of our sovereignty. We said you can't go like that because those are the areas which are not, in Pakistan's occupation actually. They are occupied illegally. So on that basis, we have said that we are against the CPEC. And we are against the OBOR because in a way it's linked to this whole thing. But what is happening is that in bargain, when they are putting $50 billion in Pakistan, you should read the Dawn and various other articles that are coming out lately, that Pakistan feels they're going to be enslaved. They're going to be paying back this debt for so long, and the Chinese, what the Americans at one time had enslaved Pakistan, now the Chinese are going to do it. So they're going to be there culturally, they're going to be there trade, they're going to be on cyber because it's a very important thing. There'll be electricity generation which they'll do. Everything they will have a say. And as you know, these both cultures, they really don't match. There is nothing which is in commonality. It's just that typical thing about enemy of my enemy is my friend. So the Chinese are using Pakistan as a proxy to keep pressure on India, really speaking. And if you check the ROI, what is called in the business language, the return on investment, this I don't think is very viable, because there are so many better sea routes which are happening, though the land route is cheaper, no doubt, but there are so many other alternates options which are happening. Even India is making a road now all the way across to Singapore through Thailand, Malaysia and all that kind of a thing. There is a project also that we are doing already, air linking with Afghanistan, and thereafter we are going into Central Asian Republic. So there are so many alternates available. How will they get that entire money back? And if that's what happens, then Pakistan can be in deep trouble.
So on one hand, China is working so close with a Muslim country. I'm referring to CPEC, where it's working with Pakistan and is investing so much in a Muslim country. And on the other hand, in its own land, actually it is suppressing the Muslim community that lives in its northern western region. Why these double standards, where they are not allowing the Muslim community to wear burqas, grow beards? So working with Muslims, working against Muslims.
Actually speaking, religion is something so private that everybody looks at religion from whatever strength that he can get morally or otherwise. The Russians tried to do that and it backfired, because the Russian Orthodox Church was really very popular. And so is the case with whether it's a Buddhist or whether it is the Xinjiang province, whether it is Islam, that is important. But what they are doing is they are doing forced migration also. Basically the Han population, which is a very big population, 93% of the population, they are purposely forcing them to get to these areas of both Tibet as well as into Xinjiang, and trying to move those people all over. But that kind of a assimilation doesn't take place when you are trying to use force onto it. So all this what they are doing of trying to enforce their own culture onto the Islamic areas. I am actually speaking, to be honest, Rohit, you asked a very important question, because I feel as to why no Muslim country is really raising this issue. Even Pakistanis who keep talking about Islam, and in our country there is so much of talk about intolerance, and there is a talk about where we got one of the maximum Muslim countries and people in our country, and there is so much of secularism that is there, freedom of speech, you can see so many things that are going on. But I don't know why nobody talks about atrocities what are going on in China. Just because Chinese have got the clout, Chinese got the money, so I think people are conveniently keeping quiet about it. But I think you raised a very important question on this.
So I'll come to the last question. We all love watching cricket, and recently India played Pakistan in a World Cup final. There were again a lot of messages are going across social media, where some army personnel actually posted saying they did not support India playing Pakistan when they were fighting Pakistan at the borders. We also have banned Pakistani artists in working in Indian films. So why is the film industry being singled out while India continues to play or participate in tournaments or different competitions that involves Pakistan?
You see, actually the portion that you mentioned about that the army personnel have said against, it is when we want to have bilateral cricket matches. That means either we go to Pakistan or the Pakistan team comes to India and plays that. That is what the objection part is. It is not what we took part in World Cup, because it's a multilateral forum. So it is the multilateral which we can't avoid. Of course, we can't be boycotting ourselves from a World Cup, whereas we have all the chances of winning it and we are the best teams in the world, as a matter of fact. So it is the multilateral forum. But coming back to again many other relationships, we have been telling Pakistan this many times. Can you imagine, we have given them what is called MFN, most favored nation. They haven't given us. We do a lot of trade, unofficial trade that goes on in the Punjab and all the borders that happens, but it is not helping the local population. We are not against the Pakistani people. We are against the Pakistani policy of exporting terrorism. And that is what we are trying to tell them, that look, regardless of what the border and all those issues, they will come up in their own way. Let's exchange, people to people contact. But, there is a limit to which you can do this people to people contact. When you can keep having 26/11 in Mumbai, you can have Pathankot, you can have Uri, you can, all the things that are going on in the valley. So there is a clear evidence the Pakistanis are, the American Senate has also passed a stringent, kind of strictures against them. So Pakistan should use, like a good neighbor. And if there is a good neighborly relationship, all these things will happen. After all, we have played cricket with them before. We have played even kabaddi before. There have been artist exchanges. Nobody is against that unless and until their vocal support and their material support and their, of course, training and various other things to terrorism is stopped.
So thank you for sharing all this information with us and with the viewers. We all appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Rohit. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and do subscribe to our YouTube channel ScreenKraft. We'll be coming out with more and more interesting content in the future. Thank you.